Auxiliary Verbs by Paul Gallantry. This is a blended learning demonstration. Okay, so what are auxiliary verbs? Well, you might also call them helping verbs. Some books say helping verbs, some call them auxiliaries, but they're there to help. Well, what does that mean? Well, we use them to make questions and negatives. So when we need to say a question or say a negative, we use them. Or we can also use them to make tenses in English. And that's a problem for learners because sometimes we forget to use them when we're writing them or when we're speaking. So what are the three auxiliaries? It's coming up in a minute, but can you write them down while you're thinking about that? Okay, you should say they are do or does or did, be, which can be am, is, are, was, were, and so on, or have. We've got have, has, and had. You notice also there's not there, that's how we make the negative. But how do we use them? Well, we use do or does when we're making present simple. We use did for past simple. We use have for perfect tenses, so that's tenses like the present perfect or the past perfect. And we use be in two ways, with continuous tenses and also with passives. Let's have a look at them. Let's look at do first of all. Okay, well, quite simply, do is we use do, does or did, and not to make the negative, plus the infinitive. We sometimes also call that verb 1. Now, in present simple, it looks like this. Do you work in an office? Where does he live? They don't have a car. Do you notice there that you have the do and then the infinitive there, do you work, but does he live? Okay, now that is because we use he, she or it, and when we make a question or a negative there, we take the S of the verb and move it over to the helping verb, to does. Then we have the past simple. Where did you go? Or did she see you? Or I didn't go to work yesterday. Now if you notice there that we have did. Now the helping verb shows the time. But then we have the infinitive which shows the action. And that's always true of helping verbs. They show the time of it when we use them. Let's look at have. Now have is used in perfect tenses. So it's always have or has plus the past participle. Now don't worry about the past participle, that's a grammar word. Sometimes we call it verb 3. So if you think of a verb like go, went, gone, that's 1, 2, 3. So it's like that. So present perfect, we could have I have never been to India. She hasn't done her homework. He's lived here for 10 years. And look at that he's lived there. You see, some people think that's is there, but it isn't. It's actually has. He's lived there for 10 years. Unfortunately, English people are quite lazy when they talk, so they shorten things down. Here's an example of past perfect. When Pete arrived home, Kate had already cooked dinner. Or, they'd gone by the time I arrived. And again, it's very hard to hear that because, again, English people are lazy and they shorten it. So we don't say they had gone, we're more likely to say they'd gone. And here's an example of future perfect. I will have finished this project by tomorrow. Okay, let's look at be now. With be, we have continuous tenses. And that's be plus the verb with ing on the end. For example, he's staying in a hotel. I'm working from home today. What were you doing at 10 o'clock last night? And they'll be having dinner at 7 tonight. So the first two examples there are present continuous. The third one is past continuous, and the fourth one is future continuous. But you notice you've got the verb to be. It shows the time, it shows the when, but then you have verb ing. That bit doesn't change. But unfortunately, we can also use be with passives. Well, I don't say unfortunately, but yeah. We have there be plus the past participle, that verb 3 again. And again, the verb to be shows the time, it shows when it is, and the past participle bit doesn't change. So, for example, tea is grown in China. That's present simple. This room is used for meetings. Another present simple. This house was built in 1600. That's an example of a past passive there, past simple passive. Here's a present perfect one. Cheese has been produced for thousands of years. And just look at that, cheese has been produced. If you look, we've got has, that's our perfect tense, then been. So there we've made our perfect tense there. We've got have plus past participle. Then we've got our passive, be, and verb 3. And another one, a future one. 1 million cars will be produced here next year. Okay, well, thank you for watching. There'll be more about tenses and what else we can do with verbs later on in another production.